has set up in the current product manual. And these are just the basics, top styles that we do and the names of them. And it shows the little arrow. This is, of course, the grain direction arrow. We can do any top shape you want. You guys know that. If you see something creative, we're able to do that. It's all based on a square footage price. So if you're doing catapult, your top thickness is going to be 1 1/8 inches, and it's going to be $15 a square foot. And the maximum size you can do in one tabletop is going to be 96 wide, and the maximum depth is going to be 60 inches wide. Elite, you're going to be able to go a little bit bigger. You're able to do 120 by 60 and one complete piece. The difference is it's $19 a square foot, and it's 1 1/4 inches thick. And then if you guys don't know this, we have this handy little calculation that we do in design. I think project managers do it. This is how we figure out our square footage costs. So what you do is you take the width times the depth, and then you divide that number by 144, and then you times it by either the 15 or the 19, depending on if you're doing catapult or elite. And that will just become embedded in your head. I think design, just out of habit, we do it. Catapult. I have this handy, the guys in the back made me this great little piece. So if sales, if you ever need to borrow it, basically what it is a 4-sided piece showing all of our different edge details. So if you're doing catapult, your only option on a conference table edge is the vinyl edge. Keep in mind, if the surface is in 2 pieces, the seam in the middle is vinyl on vinyl. So I always think it's good to call that out to your client, make them aware that it's a bigger seam in the middle. If you're doing self-edge, which is on this other side, the seam in the middle will be raw to raw. And Miguel, do you want to explain?
Yeah, we'll do the slat with the biscuits so the table is somewhat even, because the flat bracket underneath is not enough to make it even.
There's a bigger chance when you do this type of edge that the table over the course of time is going to fluctuate, and you'll eventually start to see, the raw edge of the board. The seams don't look as nice.
The chances are 100%, so you don't so expect that.
And then if liquid gets in there, it's going to expand.
Exactly. If something were to spill in the middle of that seam, we got a big explosion.
It's going to swallow, it might need some ice.
If you were going to do something like quarter round, which used to be our most popular edge, it's great. It's incredibly durable. It goes all the way around the perimeter of the table. But for example, if you were to do it on this rectangle table, you would end up putting big radiuses on each corner. And you would do the same for the quarter round would have a bigger radius, but you could also do regular, but it would still have a radius around the corners too.
For regular T-mold, you can go as low as 1.5 inch radius. For quarter round, you have to go 6 inches.
Gee, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
So just kind of we don't do those edges a lot anymore. A lot of times we do them for we used to do them with training tables, but now everybody's doing the catapult edge. But it's just something good to know your options that are out there.
And by the way, T-mold does not go with catapult. It's only on the lead.
Yes. You can only get, the only edge you can get on catapult is the vinyl. We do offer, and this is another thing that's only with elite conference tabletops, is you can do a built-up edge. And that's a top that's over 2 inches thick. Really, essentially, it's not the whole, it's not, basically we're putting 2 pieces on top of each other, even though in the center it's like 1.5 inches, but on the exterior it's 2 inches. So when you price those out, we basically double the cost because it's the same amount of material. It's 2 tops. Any questions on that? This is a couple just little tips about conference room tables. If you have somebody that wants a customer pickup, they do not come assembled and they do not come with the holes pre-drilled. And they are not covered under the ROI warranty. So anything beyond that is you have to charge if they want. They can pick it up assembled, but we will have to charge for the assembly. So that's just a good thing to keep in mind. A customer wants to provide their own power and data grommet. They have to provide us with the power and data grommet prior to, once the order is received, just like the appliances. We want all that information at the time of order, then we can program in it. Because we ran into some instances with received a grommet in the field and the guys didn't have the proper equipment to cut that specific grommet. So it's just better we have it ahead of time and it can be programmed, which is so much better than being cut in the field. Anything you want to fill in on that?
Yeah, if they don't want to give us the grommet for us to do it here, what we can do based on whatever dimensions they're giving us, we can create a jig here in-house to do it on site, but we have to charge for all of that because it's extra labor.
Arms and conference room chairs. It's not, ROI is not responsible for the damage that can occur from your base, your arms hitting the bottom of the table. There are options to avoid this. For Echo, we ordered preset cylinders so that the height of all their chairs are always in the same spot and they can't adjust them. So it's just a good reminder to let your customers know if they're looking at fancy leather handles or chrome or anything like that, you can't control how people are going to lift them up. They're going to get scratched, and that's something we can't cover under our lifetime warranty.
And that's where the T-mold takes place to be a much better edge for conference tables because T-mold doesn't damage any arms. Self-edge or vinyl will. Self-edge more than any other edge, but T-mold out of 1,000, maybe one.
And then I found this really handy, the next sheet, which kind of gave you the guidelines for the item below. When I was reading through like recommendations, it recommended that each person gets about 30 inches of space. So this handy little cheat sheet is really nice if somebody's asking you for like, it gives you like the seating capacity and the size of table, the size of room they recommend. It was just a really nice overall guidelines that I think if you guys were talking to your customer and they're like, hey, what can we fit in this room? Lisa can look at that and be like, okay, that room's about this size. It looks like you can fit this size of table in it and it'll be about 4 to 6 people, which I just thought was a nice little handy. And then down here are all the different recommended little walkways and stuff that they recommend for surrounding the table. As I was, going through and looking at this, all of this is just recommended. So there's no like set code or anything like that. So it's really like, yeah, you can go tighter than that, but it's totally up to the client if they want to do it. This is just kind of a universal standard of what they recommend. But I just thought it was a handy little sheet just to pass out.